Wes and Carrie's topics that they had submitted were kind of similar. So I think we'll start with Wes. As far as you had submitted that you wanted to discuss breaking down royalties, publishing, songwriting, and masters in the music industry. And I know Jahan and Adrian, not necessarily music industry, but if you could weigh in from your different areas of expertise. I mean, we like to look at things from the full scope. So definitely please weigh in, even if you need clarification on something or, things are being spoken. You're like, wait, what is that? Like, please feel free to receive clarification because your input is just as valuable. So Wes, if you could kind of weigh in on your topic.
Yeah, I kind of just wanted to discuss, the different ways that an artist can actually get royalties off of their music, because when it comes to a lot of the royalties, unless you set it up properly, you'll just never get the income for it, right? So the first place you get your royalties would be through your distribution company. If you're dealing with a distributor, whether, DistroKid, TuneCore, United Masters, whatever one you particularly choose, that's the first place that you get distribution, or your royalties, but that's not the only place, right? You also get royalties from your performance rights organization, but that's one of those things that if you don't set it up, you won't collect those royalties from that, right? So what a performance rights organization is basically a company that goes out and gets your royalties for you, all right? Royalties from, let's say, live performances or royalties from internet radio, right? Royalties from clubs or concerts, anywhere that's playing your music outside of regular distribution, Spotify, Apple Music and stuff like that. If they're playing your music anywhere else, your PRO are the people who will collect that for you, but you have to set it up. All right. So the two biggest companies is ASCAP and BMI. Some of you may have already heard of one or the other of them, but you want to get yourself aligned with one of them, and sign up for it. BMI is free to start. They do take a little percentage off, of course, because they're doing the legwork of going to get your royalties. ASCAP, you have to pay to sign up for it, but they have a smaller percentage. So it basically evens out. So it really doesn't matter which one you go with. But when you do set it up, you'll have your account, you'll have your own, member ID. And they, like I said, they will go and collect your royalties for you. So every stream that you get, you'll get royalties from your distribution company and you'll get it from your PRO. So those are the two biggest ones to start with. There are some other places to collect royalties from later on once you progress in your music career, but you definitely have to start off with those two. And I just wanted to speak on that.
Definitely. I think that ties in perfectly to, James having a playlist and then Ron being a DJ. It's so important for artists to have those things. So when people like James and Ron get involved, the artist is able to get paid. So that's why I think it tied in perfectly to what James was mentioning too. And real quick, I wanted Carrie to kind of weigh in. His topic was income streams for artists. So if you can kind of piggyback on what Wes said, and then maybe Wes could address some of the income streams that you were wanting to talk about.
Well, I guess I wanted to find out other income streams that were just mentioned, like from BMI and ASCAP. And like I mentioned on the previous, the M.I.C, they're now more for the digital mechanical licensing you can get through the DSPs, and all this information is on their site, the MLC.com, and they're getting back. You have to look on their website. They're going back 7 or 10 years or further to get their royalties that were not from SoundCloud. If you have stuff on SoundCloud, that's what I'm talking to them about.
Mm-hmm.
Because I have stuff on there, but you have to have that ISRC number and all the metadata you can need so you can get the royalties from the MLC. But enough on that. I was just trying to find other streams. But he mentioned the internet radio, and some places I've seen online, they don't pay. I mean, you have to really kind of find out first before you put your music there. At least that's what I'm doing. So, I just want to ask that question. What internet radio stations do pay royalties? Because not all of them do.
Right.
It's more for to get your name out there.
Well, whether they actually pay you for it or not, you still collect royalties off of the stream. So if James plays your music, James himself isn't going to pay you for it. But because your music was played, you're going to get income from your distributor and you're going to get income from. So if he puts your music on his Spotify playlist, you're getting paid for it. If you do it through the distribution company and if you get your PRO set up. And you're absolutely right about SoundCloud. I addressed that, on another video. when it comes to SoundCloud, unless you put in that information, you're not going to get paid off of anything from SoundCloud, but you get that information from when you sign up with ASCAP or BMI. You know, you get your actual member ID because that has to be put into the metadata for you to actually get paid. But outside of, you know, streaming income, other ways that you could get income is like James's shirt, make merchandise, right? You can make hats, you can make shirts, you know, just other ways that people can support you outside of your music, you know, because for me, for example, I have people who they'll buy my shirts, they'll buy my merch. They don't necessarily, you know, like my music much, but they still want to support me. So you have to make other ways that people can still support you, even if they don't necessarily listen to your music. You know what I mean?